Hello and welcome to what should hopefully be the beginning of a great building series if all goes to plan. Building Camino. We're here, it's day 1, episode 1, and we're ready to kick things off strong. As you know, most lately I'm going to be building Camino around season 3 of the Clone Wars in the ARC Troopers episode mainly. And it should be pretty good, I believe. There's tons of references to the show I want to put in. There's lots of different interesting techniques I'm planning to use for this mock. And it all starts right now, so let's get to a plan of what's going on here exactly.
Move it, troopers! On the double! Fire!
So, the Brooklyn call today, I can't do it on my table because my table's covered in a bunch of random stuff. So I'm just going to quickly go through this, and most of it's very similar pieces anyway. What spurred on this order was these hinge plates in dark grey. These are going to be for my main like platform type things, because I need them to be rounded, and these are the best way to get those rounded. I also just got one big black panel piece just because it's cheap and it's very useful. In these smaller bags I've just got some small brown plant pieces just because they're not always that easy to get a hold of, so I wanted to get a few. Some of these studs with a hole in them, again very useful pieces that aren't usually available to get for that cheap. And then just some hinge plates because they're always useful, and again will probably be useful to do some platforms on Camino. Up next is this bag. In here I've got 50 grill plates. That's just because they were literally 1 pence each, so I thought I'll just get some of those. They'll always come in useful. These bricks I've got a ton of, and I always like to get more of. I've got some just 1x2x5 bricks. Again, always very useful, and these panel bricks are always useful as well. Second last up, I've got 2 bags full of these 1x4 snot bricks in yellow. These will be super useful to put together my platforms, and these also were 1 pence each, so super glad to get a hold of them for a great price. And last up, I've got this, I don't know what the game's called in Star Wars, but it's basically the game they've got in the Millennium Falcon. I don't own a Millennium Falcon, so I've never had one of these, but I thought it'd be cool to pick one up to put in mocks randomly. So I'm super happy with that. So anyway, let's get to building. It's in my opinion that every good large-scale mock has to start with a plan, otherwise you go in completely blind and don't actually know what you're going to do. So this is my plan here. This is my general idea of what's going to be going on the base plates. So this is going to be the main section. It's going to be like one of the main hangar bays of Camino, and then there's going to be corridors running around the sides of it that's going to represent different scenes from within the show, within those episodes. And then outside of it there'll be a couple of platforms. I might put another one here, I don't know yet, because those were another really iconic part of Camino, those like outside circular platforms. Moving down, I've detailed it a bit more. I know it looks completely messy, but this is basically just the hangar bay section made more clear. So there's going to be a ridge on the outside of it that's going to be like outdoors, and then when you go indoors there's going to be a big gunship inside the hangar bay along with a bunch of clones, and that's where Havoc will be. And then across from there there'll be a ton of droids that he's fighting. There'll be, on the outside there'll be stairs leading up to the corridor where you see Blitz with those 2 ARF troopers, and they'll be shooting at them there. And then in this bottom bit will be Colt, as well as like there'll be the corridor where Colt dies, as well as the bit where Ventress kills him, and there'll be Obi-Wan and Grievous. That corridor will cut across this and go down the bottom layer of under here. Like Blitz will be the top bit, but that corridor will continue on underneath. Above the cult corridor will be the corridor of like the barracks of the clones, with Rex, Fives, 99, Echo, and Cody. And that will be his death scene will be in above there. Moving on top, there will also be like on the ridge before the roof comes on. There will be a little spot where you can have Fives and Echo sniping out of the top of the hangar bay, just like they did in the episode. So that'll be another part I want to integrate. And I know I also want to put Shakti in here somewhere. She'll probably be fighting someone on the platforms, just to include her somewhere, because she's probably the most iconic Jedi of Kamino from the Clone Wars. And then I'll be able to fit some other like small references in wherever I can as well. So I think they should all be pretty good when this turns out. So let's get some actual Lego down and see how big I want to make this thing. Okay, so as I'm yet to completely take down Seed, I've decided to start working on Camino on the ground, because why not? It will eventually be moved up, but I just want to show you the general space that I'm going to be working in. I think this is the general size that I want Camino to be. I know it looks huge, that's because it is quite big. Sorry about my floor, is so messy, there's tons of stuff going on around here. But yeah, so yeah, I guess it's 48 and that's 32 there. So that's like 70, 80 studs. I think that's 80 if my math serves me correctly. So it can be 80 and then by 48, 29, 50, 51, 2, 3, 4. By 67. By 67 studs. This is basically the way that I just had the base plates that I've got to lay them out. There is a little bit in the corner missing there, but I'll just use plates to bridge that all together. So my next plan is to look at the water of Camino. But the problem is that because of all of the pieces I've got a ton of different coloured base plates. So they look a different colour when you're like, one of these on top of a green base plate will look different to one on top of a grey base plate. As they are translucent, it means you can kind of see through them. So what I need to do is cover this entire base plate in a layer of different plates, just so that these aren't as easily noticed. And I think because Camino actually is quite dark water, if you look at it, you can't really see into it that well. I think I'm going to go with black plates on the bottom of all this and then put this on top. And I think that's going to look pretty good. So let's get that all black. And there you go. I've spent the last wee bit putting together tons of black plates and of all different shapes and sizes over this, and I think it's a really like sleek look. Although none of this is really going to be seen, this is just the underlayer for the water, and then I'm going to have my other buildings going on top of that. So this looks basically just achieved by putting tons and tons of differently shaped black plates on top of the base plates, just to bridge them all together. And I think I do like the look, but with that, I've already run out of time for this week's episode, unfortunately. So let's get to the outro. And there we have it. Episode 1 of Building... Oh, I almost said Building Feed. I'm going to do that a ton of times by accident. That's the first episode of Building Camino out of the way. The first episode of a building series typically is always the worst one, because not much stuff gets done and it's mainly just about planning. But the plans are there, and next week we can finally get started on placing water, which should be good because Camino needs water, otherwise it's not Camino, it's just basically Cloud City at that point. That doesn't make sense. Oh well, I'm just babbling on. Anyway, if you like this first episode of Building Camino, then like the video. That's what the like button's there for. Comment what you're most excited about for this mock, or any other ideas that you might have for me to include in Camino, so I can think about them nice and early before I dedicate tons of money and pieces to building something. And subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, because it's going to be great, and the episode after that's going to be great, and the episode after that's going to be great, because Camino should be awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching, and bye.